So today I'm going to do a reaction video slash secondhand coaching video on another coach. And I always feel the need to preface when I do videos like this, or even reaction videos on people's social media posts and things like that, that I am not coaching this person directly. I am simply using the information that they are choosing to put on a public platform, which may not be the whole story, in order to help you with any parallels that you may see with their experience and your own, and kind of gain some coaching advice from me based on that. This one has been requested a few times, unsurprisingly, because it is another coach and they have gone through a bit of an evolution, as have I, just in a different direction. So today I will be reacting to a couple of videos from Velez. And for those who are familiar with Velez, she's very big in the manifestation community online, like online community, as far as her YouTube and her TikTok. I used to follow her a long time ago, but I was unaware of the direction she had moved in until recently, when someone who's been a client and a follower of mine for a long time brought it to my attention. So I am going to react to, or secondhand coach, probably react to a little bit more than secondhand coach in this instance. For those who are unaware, I did a video that kind of kick-started this whole thing off. I did a video initially on Manifest with Mary, and people said in the comments of that video that they found that really helpful. So today we are going to do Velez. Like I said, it's probably going to be more of a reaction, kind of me seeing parallels with my own experience against hers. And yeah, let's go from there. So the first video that I'm going to watch from Velez, I have, since adding this to my list of reaction videos to do, seen that she has created another channel for a podcast based more around the things that she's going to address in this video. So I'm actually going to watch one or two of those as well, or show bits and pieces of that. Also, if you get anything positive out of this video, don't forget to like, share, comment, and or subscribe. It just helps push my videos out to more people so I can help as many people as possible on a free platform. And if you'd like to comment below just to help me with the algorithm, but you don't know what to comment, just put a sparkle emoji, because we're creating literal, real life fucking magic this channel. On this channel.
Hey loves. All right. So before I share this video with you, I just want to say a few things. What you're about to watch, I recorded, I think over a week or so ago at this point. And it is really raw, super emotional, and it's so deeply personal to me. And I'm not going to lie, it feels a little scary.
Yeah, I do want to acknowledge that this is probably a very ballsy move for Kim to make, considering what she has coached on for the last however many years, and what she's known for and what most people follow her for. I don't think she's stepping away from manifestation completely, but I'll go into more my thoughts, because there are Christians, right? So the premise of this video is that Kim has now become a Christian. There are Christians that believe in manifestation and don't believe that it's evil or anything like that. But I do want to acknowledge that this is, again, a ballsy move. A lot of people, I mean, to go into a different kind of example, I remember I was vegan for a year and a half, because I was trying to balance my hormones, and I went vegan first, and that kind of worsened things. And then I went low carb, which I've mentioned in other videos. But I saw this a lot when I was vegan for a year and a half, where actually I think I noticed it more after the fact. I personally, my body reacted really badly to being vegan, like hormones all over the place, skin really bad, blah, 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 blah. But there were a lot of people who continued to make vegan content after they'd stopped being vegan, because for whatever reason, for some of them, it was that veganism did not agree with their physiology, but they these communities can become kind of culty and dogmatic at times, and they can be completely shunned by people or hated by people because their views have changed on things that are still the same for other people, that other people's views that haven't changed. And a lot of what we see within manifestation or veganism or whatever things can be taken to extremes, religion and all sorts of things, everything can be taken to an extreme, is that when people change their views, their beliefs, their opinions, they can get a lot of hate, and that can be scary. But what's really important is to just know who you are and know that because you've gotten these nudges because it resonates with you, and like you're not a bad person or whatever it might be, that things are all working in your favor somehow, some way. Now, that's not to say that I'm moving in a Christian direction. I don't foresee that ever happening. But I do believe that the Bible is a manifestation manual, for example. So I think there's still going to be a lot of opinions and beliefs that I share with Kim, but we will see as I go through this video. I just wanted to really acknowledge that it takes a lot of gumption to share to a pretty large platform that your whole outlook on things has changed. And that may not line up with your existing following's belief systems.
To share. But since having this,
So I'm not here to judge, Kim. I always say, like, I have people who have followed me for a long time who say that they are Christian, and that helps them kind of release that control and everything, which I think I'll probably end up touching on as I go through this video.
radical encounter with Jesus, everything in me shifted. I know things I didn't know before, and I can't pretend that what I felt, what I am feeling, what I am currently experiencing isn't real, because it is. And it isn't about religion. It's not about rules. It's not about you joining anything. This was and is a very real experience of knowing that God is alive, that Jesus is real, and that he came for me, for my striving, for my heart, and healing things in me that I didn't even know I needed healed. So no, I'm not suddenly a preacher. I'm not going to pretend I am. And I'm not here to argue theology or quote scriptures to try to prove a point or convince you of anything. All I'm doing is walking with God now. And my healing, my peace, my identity, it is no longer something that I am building on my own. It's coming from him. I'm still going to talk about trauma.
Okay, so as you've probably heard me say in other videos, if you've watched any of my videos before, Kim is referring to God as something outside of her now, which is a bit different to how she would have referred to it before, which is that we are all God. You are God. You are God of your reality, right? Which just simply means that you're the one who gets to decide how you experience the game of life. So I think I can see where this is going already, but we'll let her talk a little bit more.
Informed tools like I have been. I'm still going to help you heal your body, rewire your patterns, and shift your self-concept, rewire that identity so you know your truth. But now we're doing it with God. Not from self-reliance, not from striving, not from hustle or bypassing or manifesting your way through pain, because this is a deeper power, a better way. And it's not found in you being your own source. That's what all this stuff was about before, was that you have to be the one to do it all. You have to be the one that makes it all happen. You can only lean on yourself. And that's not the right way. That's the lie the world told us.
Okay, so as I just said, Kim has now moved from her being the operant power in her reality to putting that power into something that she sees as like bigger and outside of her. And she's saying that it's not the right way to go about things the way she did before, which is to feel like you are the cause of everything. Again, I'm going to wait to see what she has further to say because I feel like I see where this is going. What I want to say is that the right way, whether it is seeing things from this new perspective that Kim is seeing things from as far as Christianity and seeing the power as being outside of her, or the power coming straight from you and you being essentially like a living projector, I don't really mind what you believe. I'm not going to tell you one is right or wrong. As long as you are happy and you're not hurting yourself or anyone else. That's the main thing. People are going to find different ways that resonate with them to allow themselves to finally experience the things that they want. What I don't like to see is people not taking responsibility for certain aspects of their life and kind of then blaming everything on things outside of them. What I do see a lot with Christianity, not all Christians, but oftentimes when people say, like, when something doesn't go the way that they wanted, and they can say, like, it just wasn't in God's plan. And often it's because they are deciding that something outside of them gets to decide what they can and can't experience. Now, sometimes there are heavy things that happen that are just shitty experiences, right? And on this channel, we're not really talking about things like that. We're talking about relationships, we're talking about money and success, we're talking about living a life of your dreams, as far as like, for me, for example, it's having time freedom and flexibility and all of the things that I spoke about in my last video. That's not to ignore the heavy things that people go through that are oftentimes just part of the human experience. Like, eventually people in your life will pass away, for example, but they're not gone. They're just back in energetic form as opposed to physical form. That can be solace to some people, and that can also be something that people just don't want to hear when they're going through the grieving process. And I can totally understand that. What I do want to add to that is, in my eyes, as far as how I see things at the moment, even if you are praying to God and you believe that something outside of you is handing you or creating the experience that you want from outside of you, you are still the cause of that from the point of praying for or asking for it. That still comes from you.
Told us. So, like I said, it's not found in you being your own source. It's found in knowing who your source is. You got a magnificent co-pilot. You have a partnership, if you choose to have that, when you walk with God and Jesus. So whether you
Just make sure
consider
I'm
yourself
recording.
faith-based or not, I hope you stick around. I hope you stay curious, and I hope you feel the love of God through every video, every word, every message that comes next from me, because I am a changed woman. And it is scary, but it feels so damn right. And I just want to share with you whatever I'm supposed to share. I love you, and I hope you enjoy the video. All right. Hi, everyone. So I don't have lashes on, and I'm not wearing mascara because I honestly don't know if I'm going to end up crying in this video, because I have been nonstop crying since I had my meeting with Jesus. My first meeting, I should say. I've had many. And I just felt very compelled to share this with you all on this channel, because I have rapidly changed in so many ways. And I want to share with you what happened. I didn't meet Jesus in a church. I didn't meet him in a book. I met him in my house on a Saturday afternoon. And he wrecked me. And I mean, wrecked me in the most beautiful way. So this is not a story about religion, and it's not a story about what you need to do. It's just my story. It's my story of what is going on with me, because it's clear in my messaging. I'm getting emails and comments all over my podcast, all over this YouTube channel, because now I'm talking about God. Now I'm talking about Jesus. And
I will say that I have noticed that in Kim. Like I said, I haven't followed her for a long time, but there was a period of time where Kim's videos would pop up on my feed because of what I teach and the algorithm picking up on that. I remember when I first came across Kim, I related to her anger that she had in her earlier videos talking about manifestation, specifically from the law of assumption, where she was like swearing quite a lot and quite aggressively shitting on the law of attraction and her frustrations with, like, I wish I'd known that it was this simple sooner and blah, blah, blah. And I used to feel that way about the law of attraction when I came across the law of assumption as well. But then, the law of assumption can have its negatives when people strip it back too much and oversimplify it, which I've talked about in my toxic side of law of assumption video, which I'll put on the end card. It's the video I probably most reference, just because I would like to help people avoid getting to the point that I got to, that I feel like this video is going in the direction with Kim that her and I got to a similar point, but just went about getting to that point in different ways. But yeah, Kim was very like aggressively pissed off about the whole law of attraction thing when she came across the law of assumption. And then I did notice, sort of as she popped up on my TikTok feed every now and then, that her energy did feel softer, but that was even probably a long time before this video that I'm reacting to now came out, where she feels like she met Jesus.
and people can see a softening in me that I feel. So I understand it. I'm a different version of me from the grace of Jesus only. So let me tell you what happened. So I knew Jesus. I knew the theory of Jesus. I knew the story of Jesus. When I was a little girl, I have a lot of religious people in my extended family, and my mom grew up in the church, so she brought me to the church. And I used to have to rehearse Bible verses, and I went to Bible school and Bible study and or Sunday Bible study. And I went to church and I did all the things, and I even went to like Bible camps when I was very young. And then somewhere along the way, I don't, I started getting into trouble as a teenager, and then I was in foster care at the age of 12. And I just didn't really have a connection, but I would talk about God and I would talk about Jesus, but I never knew Jesus. I just knew of Jesus, if that makes sense. And then the people around me in the world from literally as far as I can remember back, who said that they believed in Jesus, who said that this is who Jesus is to them. I never saw, and this isn't judging them, this is just helping you understand my perception as I was growing up. I did not see in these people anything that made me want to say, I want what's in them. Not even their lifestyle, right? It was just more about the person. I saw a lot of unhealed, hurting people. And I was like, in my head, I can remember thinking, well, what's the point of this if this is who this person still is? So it was just another way I could shut off and just continue to distance and disconnect myself from Jesus.
It's funny that she says that about noticing that a lot of people within Christianity, as far as how she grew up, felt like very unhealed people. Just because when I was in Bali, and there's a lot of people who believe in manifestation, but from a far more woo-woo perspective than me, I felt that about so many people as well. That's not to say that I'm perfect in everything, that I don't occasionally get affected by things that I experienced in the past and all that sort of thing. But there's a lot of very unhealed people who go to spirituality. And I think that that's a big part of why I've been put off kind of associating myself with that or going about things the way I used to. It's because I realized that for me personally, that wasn't the way for me. That way actually kept me in a very victim mentality, pushing away the things that I wanted and all that sort of thing. And it's very uncomfortable to be around people who are that way still when you're no longer in that place mentally or like physiologically with your nervous system and things like that.
Well, then as you get older, right, you want to start finding things. I've tried to go to church. I tried different types of denominations. I studied religion and things like that. And it just never felt right for me and never clicked for me. And I still would talk about God though, right? And even then I went into the whole new age thing and we got into the manifesting because I was like, yes, look, I can have these fragments of what being close to God and Jesus can bring you, right? Without having to know Jesus, without having to, I don't know, I don't even know because it wasn't like a conscious decision, but I was drawn to it because I'm like, well, yes, it's me. I'm the source. I'm in control of this. And this is why that appealed to me so much because I was in foster care. I always felt like I had to do everything on my own. I had overcome so many things in the world through my sheer willpower, through my sheer determination, through me deciding that I'm going to persevere. So it was like this adopted mentality that I've had from when I can remember, a child, from being a child, and this fight in me. And I didn't know what I was fighting, but I knew this. I couldn't trust people. I couldn't lean on anyone. See, here come the tears. I couldn't lean on anyone. And so the person that I trusted the most was me because I got myself out of anything that hurt me or didn't feel good. And I got myself, this is what I was telling myself. I pulled myself up from my bootstraps. I carried myself. I paid my bills. I got myself through the hardships. I healed myself. I was the one that always was carrying the weight of everything. And I did pretty damn good. So I learned through the pain of my childhood, through the pain of just life and all the things that I experienced, that I was my source, that I could only rely on me. So then when I fell into this new age,
I had to stop there just because I feel like I can see how Kim got to that point, but there's a difference between having some self-agency as far as what you can experience, how you experience the 3D, and being hyper independent. And obviously, there's a lot of trauma there that kind of led him to being a therapist initially and then a manifestation coach and going into what her new kind of belief system now. But I personally don't feel like, because I believe, at least currently, that I am source, that I'm alone. Even though, like, I've heard a lot of people talk about things from a similar perspective as where I've gotten to in terms of my evolution of what I believe this whole experience is and how it works. Talking about how, like, it's just you're alone in a room, there is no one else, sort of thing. That can be a very isolating way of thinking about it. My old coping mechanism used to be isolating, and I don't feel that it's like that. I don't really see myself as like alone, even though I do believe that everything is just an aspect of me that I am deciding to experience or not, to express or to not. I hope that makes sense.
Age stuff. I like that because it was me doing the work. It was me doing the affirming. It was me reprogramming my mind. It was me finding the solutions. It was me doing the seeking and doing, me. It didn't require me to lean on anyone else. It required me to only take full responsibility, which I was so used to. So I jumped in, it made sense to me, and I'm like, I got it. And let me tell you, I rewired a lot in me. And a lot of you that worked with me and watched my content, you did the same, because it does work. When you change your identity, when you reprogram, you can manifest without Jesus. You can do these things without Jesus and God. Oh, but here's what I know to be different. It only takes you so far. And I'm going to get into that. So I had healed so much in me. I had seen myself differently. I created so many beautiful things in my life. I had ended and healed a lot of pain that I was aware of. And I had a lot of inner peace, and I had a lot of comfort in relying on me. That's the key theme. So fast forward all these years. So I did the trauma. I'm a trauma therapist for those of you that don't know. I did that for most of my career. And then I moved into transformation coaching back in about 2019. And that's when I really started discovering law of assumption and things like that, and jumping headfirst into all of that, and discovered self-concept work and started rewiring my mind to change the story of me, and particularly in love. And like I said, I healed a lot of things. However, fast forward to now, 2025. Today is June 26, 2025, as I'm sharing this or recording it. And all of a sudden, this came out. I don't know if it came out of nowhere, because I'm looking back and I can see, like, maybe 6 months ago, 8 months ago, I think I opened my childhood Bible, which was the King James Version Bible, and I opened it and I started reading, and I put it away because I just did not feel connected to it. So I put it away. And I always talked to God. I prayed to God. I always leaned on God and believed in the power of God. I just left Jesus out of the equation. That's what the past was. So then I get a DM from a woman. Well, this woman, there was something I asked on my Instagram story one day, maybe 6, 8 months ago. I don't even know. It was a while ago. And I don't remember what it was, but she was the only person that said no. Everybody else had replied yes. So I replied to her and I said, babe, what's going on? How come you're saying no? Again, I don't remember what it was. And she said, because I found Jesus. And I don't remember what else she said after that. She wasn't like rude or condescending or anything, but I remember I read it and I was like, oh, I was kind of offended, right? But it stuck with me. And I was like, well, do I not know Jesus? Like, what does she know that I don't know? So I had a little bit of curiosity with that, but then I just shut it down and I was like, whatever, just put that away and didn't think about it again after like a day or two. Well, then about a week ago, because this is how new this is for me, on June 22nd, to be exact, so 4 days ago, I feel like a year has gone by in the last 4 days. On June 22nd, I'm sitting in my house, and this random thing popped in my mind that said, you need to go to church. And I was like, church? I haven't been to church. Oh my gosh. I think since my son was 20 years ago, let's put it like that, at least 15, 20 years ago. So that was like weird to me, because I'm like, why would I even think that? But then this was all in a microsecond, like me, church, that's weird, right? Like I got the thought and I just moved on it. Like, even though I was thinking this in like a microsecond, I just moved on it. And the next thing I know, I'm looking up churches in my area. And then the next thing I know after that, I'm on Amazon looking for a Bible. And then the next thing I know, I'm buying the Bible. And then the next thing I know, Saturday on June 22nd, all of a sudden, I feel this presence flood me right here in my heart and flood me. And there's not even words to describe the way it felt. I think for those of you that are mothers, or if you're a man listening and you're a father, but for mothers, how much you love your children, imagine that magnified 1,000,000,000 times. And that doesn't even give it justice. That's what I felt. And I knew it halted me. I knew in that second, this is Jesus. Oh my gosh, this is Jesus. Here come the tears. I just knew it was him. It was undeniable. It was unmistakable. It was, even though I had never knew him, I knew it was him. And it was so profound and so beautiful and so healing and so, that. And I just felt him wash through me. That's the best way I can describe it. It was like this washing of me. And I could just feel him. And I felt him move in areas in me that I didn't even know existed. And I just let him. I just let him, because it was like, it wasn't that it was overwhelming. It's almost like it's hard to contain what he's flooding you with, because it's like so holy. It's nothing we've experienced as humans before, with other humans or anything, I believe, except through him. And it comes in waves, very intense and sometimes light. And I just started crying and sobbing and weeping and releasing. I don't even know what I was releasing, but it felt so good to release it, and wanting to talk to him, and then feeling this compulsion come over me that, oh my gosh, I'm here for him. Like, I have to serve him. I have to submit to him. Like, he's the answer. I love him so much that I want to do everything and anything only for him in his name. And I can't describe it other than this compulsion, because the love you feel, it's like you know your home, you know who this is, you know what it means. And I just kept dealing, like, he keeps coming in and he keeps doing this to me, and he keeps releasing things. And the gift that he's given me so far, I mean, so many gifts, but for me personally is the illusion of self-reliance, because I am trusting him with everything. And I know that God has already promised all that there is, and he's already made the promise, and God doesn't lie. And now it's a release, a surrenderance of, I will follow him. My business is his, my voice is his, my money is his. This is about, I am here to do his will, not mine. So I check in. I have a relationship. This is what I'm saying. This isn't about religion. This is about a relationship. It's me talking to Jesus and God. What do you want me to do? How do I help your daughters? How do I help them reconnect with you? How do I serve you in my business? How do I glorify you? How do I spread your name to anyone and whoever I'm supposed to help with this? I don't know. And I just keep checking in with him. So I make sure it's not me trying to take over, and it's his way of what he wants me to do for this purpose that I'm here to do. And the thing that kept coming up for me tremendously is the self-reliance of releasing and surrendering and trusting in our Father to come through with his promises through the love of his son, Jesus. And Jesus just keeps helping he keeps healing me. And anytime the fear comes up, I pull up scripture. Now I'm reading the Bible. I can't get enough of this. It's like I'm thirsty. I don't want anything else. I barely want food. I mean, I'm eating, but my hunger is for this. It's feeding my soul, his words, his words, his words. And so I pull out his scripture. I read. I'm trying to learn how to memorize scripture so I can just say it off the top of the things that I'm going through right now, so that he can help me, because I feel scared, but I still listen to him. I'm learning how to recognize his voice, me talking to him. I'm doing what he's telling me to do, which is what all this content is about. I'm sharing, I'm being so vulnerable, and I'm just following his lead. And I'm terrified half the time, but I'm still doing it anyway. And it's the self-reliance piece, this lie, this root that has been rooted in me, because the world said, this is who I have to be. I have to carry everything alone. And that is a lie. I can't rely. There is no one that can love me enough, and nothing that can love me enough that's going to follow through for me. Even with all the self-concept work, it was even easier for me, like, to trust into God to lead you and provide for you. See, I had the faulty belief that I was my provider, that the bills got paid because of me. And that was not true. And so releasing that and trusting in him fully and letting him lead me instead of me lead me is terrifying to me, because I have lived my whole life through faulty lie of self-reliance. And so a lot of women I work with that have trauma, they have the same lie because the trauma in the world has hurt you and said that you can't lean in on someone. People are going to not follow through. It's not safe for you to trust that you'll be taken care of and supported in whatever way. And I'm not just saying financially, I'm just saying generally speaking, in whatever way that speaks to you. And so for me, it was getting out of my way of thinking I have to do it all alone. It was me getting out of my own way of that I'm my source. It was me getting out of my way of that I'm the only one I can.
Okay, so this is where a little bit of the like secondhand coaching aspect might come in here. Again, I don't know Kim. I'm not coaching Kim directly. I'm going off the information that she's decided to share on a public platform, which is limited. She keeps going on about this like self-reliance. I have to do it on my own, blah, blah, blah. And she's talked about her experience very bravely, sharing her experience, having gone through the foster system and things like that. And I can relate in other ways. Like I didn't go through that experience, but I always used to kind of joke about oldest child syndrome and things like that. I'm 7 and 8 years older than my brother and sister. So I had a lot of responsibility from a young age. So I can relate to this like hyper independence thing. I had different experiences to Kim as a kid, but there were things that definitely sort of led to me going down that path and feeling like I was the only one that I could rely on and things like that. But my view on that, this is what I was trying to say before, like being alone in the room and it's only you, and that can be a very lonely way of looking at it. I don't see it that way. And I don't feel hyper independent or as hyper independent as I used to, even though I do believe that I am the source and the cause of my experiences. And I realized that that hyper independence meant that there were times where I wanted help and support and care from other people, and I didn't let them do it. I didn't allow that to manifest in my experience because, you know, someone might say to me, like, oh, do you need a hand with that? And I would go, no, I've got it. And a lot of times people wouldn't insist, which is kind of what I wanted them to do. I wanted them to go, no, I've got it. And I did start to experience that here and there as I started to kind of open up a bit more. Now I'm definitely a lot more like, oh, okay, I'm not going to argue with you. Like, if you want to do that for me, you can do it for me, sort of thing. Even though it's an aspect of me. I've decided that people want to help and support me, that I have people to lean on and blah blah blah. They're all just me as well. I'm just seeing it from a very different perspective from Kim. Now, what I was also picking up there was that I can hear an exhaustion in Kim. And if you have seen the video that I think I referenced earlier, that will be on the end card about the toxic side of law of assumption, I talk about how I got to a point where I burnt out. And then at that point, I had no choice but to focus on myself and not focusing on my manifestation. And that's how I developed what then became my manifestation cheat codes. But they were not created with any intention to like make my manifestation happen. They were just things that I did when I started to focus on myself and what made me feel better and to, regulate my nervous system and to choose more things that felt good instead of choosing things that I thought would logically line up with what I wanted and all that sort of thing. When I hit that wall, when I got burnt out, my emotions were all over the place. Like anything could have set me off. I cried at the worst times. Thankfully, I worked for a really awesome boss who was just very good with me, honestly, through a lot of that. And I worked with people who were supportive. And I kind of feel like that burnout is where, again, from the limited information I've got from what Kim has chosen to put on a public platform, I kind of feel like that has where Kim has got to. And I'm not just basing that off this video and what she said in this video so far. I'm basing it on what I had, like what I remember of Kim from when I did follow her, like subscribe to her channel and follow her content. And she went from that like really angry phase at the law of attraction to feeling like now I have control, which I talk about in the video that I'm going to put on the end card about the law of assumption, is it appeals to a lot of people who feel like they've been out of control of things in their life before and they see it as a way to control their life. And real ease and flow as far as manifestation comes from releasing that control and allowing. And that need for control often means that people start to mess with the middle and try to solve problems in the middle instead of seeing those things as that's part of the end goal that I want and have decided for myself. So I don't need to fix it because it's part of it some way. I remember seeing a video where Kim talked about how like, and this was where she was kind of like bragging a bit about being in control, where she was like, I was pissed off about like a bill or something like that, um and I called them, and I knew that when I called them, that even though I was angry, and you can be angry when you manifest, which you can, um it got sorted, sort of thing. How I would sort of see that from where I'm at currently, and how she might see it from a different perspective, but see it in the same way, is instead of like if that had happened to me now, where like a bill came up that was unexpected, I wouldn't be like affirming that it's sorted, it's sorted, it's sorted. I would just remind myself that this doesn't really matter. Like I'm going to pay it if that's how it works out, or I will leave it for a moment and like not react to it. And even if I end up paying the bill, that money plus more is coming to me. You know, it's that releasing of control and allowing things to happen. It's not to say that, you know, the bill wouldn't get sorted and that you would have to pay it. But it's also to say that if you do have to pay it, in the 3D, instead of trying to control it, just knowing that that money will come to you and some. And paying that bill is like saying, I have more than enough money. So it's not a big deal for me to pay this bill. Just like when I see the prices of things at the supermarket double in price overnight, shit, that has gone up in price quite significantly. Lucky money's not an issue for me. And these are just things that I remind myself of that have allowed me to find myself, like I mentioned in my video from last week, my first video back in ages, where I talk about how I realized that I hadn't worked for someone else for like 10 months, which is kind of what I had always wanted, but I still found myself like trying to like not seeing it as in that way, but seeing it as in like, oh, I'm without a job, I need to get a job kind of thing, because I worked part-time for a very long time. And it's not to say that I won't work another job. It'll just be coming from a different perspective. Like something that I genuinely have missed is interacting with people through the day. Even though I'm an introvert and a homebody, like I do miss that aspect of working in a job. But that would also mean that I would not feel like the need to stay in that job. And a lot of people stay in jobs longer than they are happy to, because there's fear there somehow, some way, whether it's about the money aspect or they become attached to the people or whatever. And I have gone off on a bit of a tangent, but my point in going there was what intention is happening behind the things that you do. I feel like from what I've seen of what Kim has shared in the past and in this video, that she latched onto the law of assumption as a way to control things because she felt like her life was out of control when she was a kid and going through the foster system and things like that, which, like, fair enough, it would have felt very much that way. And that has led to her kind of burning out in a similar way to I did, which, like, the emotion coming up in this video where she's kind of out of control of that emotion lends itself to me thinking that, because I can relate to that and how I got to when I burnt out. And the way that I kind of dealt with that was focusing more on myself and doing what led to me, like what became my cheat codes. For her, it has led her to, how can I stop feeling like I have to do it all, which I don't feel, believing that everything is just an aspect of me. But for her, that was still leaning into that I have to do it all thing. It was part of that for her. She was seeing it from that perspective, whereas I see it differently. And so it feels better for her, and it is leading to that, right? Because it's all about finding what helps you release control and allow more. That has, like, becoming Christian now and the Bible and all of that sort of thing is her way of getting to that point that I have gotten to. I hope that makes sense. So that has become her way of releasing control and allowing more, is to believe in something outside of her.
Can lean on in the sense of, if I want something done, this is how I have to do it. And so now I'm giving everything to God. I'm laying everything on Jesus.
And sorry, so just with her saying that, so I can see how Kim never allowed herself to get the help and the support, and still felt like like I said, she came at the law of assumption from a different perspective where she felt like it was about control, which a lot of people do. And that's how it started for me. And when I talk about the law of being and the law of allowing, it's all the same thing. A law of attraction, law of assumption, law of allowing, law of being. It's all the same thing. It's just which way of seeing it, like, or which manual helps you get to that point of releasing the control and allowing more, trusting more.
And it's terrifying because I've never done that in my life, but it feels so good and I know it's so right to do. So I just want you to know that what he has renewed in my heart, in my mind, in seconds, I mean seconds, is more. He did it faster than I did because as a human, we're only capable of so much, but God is capable of everything and anything and all things. And the way he renewed my mind and my heart in a matter of seconds, it's not even about the time, because what I did in these years of just rewiring my own identity myself, it doesn't even come close to what he changed in me. I don't even know how to put words to it yet because it's so profound. The softening of me and who the walls are down. I'm just so different in ways I didn't even know I could be different, in ways I didn't even know was possible. My mind couldn't even fathom that this is how good it could feel. And I've had it feel good. I just didn't know it could feel this good. I didn't know that it could be this liberating, this free. So I guess all of this is to
I
share.
want to also say that I feel like, because Kim talks a lot about the rewiring and things like that, and I've talked about those things as well. Like, I've always known that you can manifest in something that you want with a dysregulated nervous system by simply willing it into existence, right? With obsessively affirming or whatever it might be in that anxious energy. But that you would likely self sabotage it if your nervous system's out of whack. And I can't honestly, so because the way that I went about getting to where I'm at, where I feel like mostly regulated, like think anxiety does come up, but I see that as a way to like steer me away from things that aren't in line with my end goal. And yeah, for that purpose, or for like true safety in the physical world. It seems to me that Kim talk, like the way Kim's talking about rewiring things and everything like that, is that she saw that as a, I have to be healed. I have to rewire my mind in order to have the thing that I want. Now, even though I talk about my cheat codes, nervous system regulation, and all those things, I always remind you that it's not about doing the things to get the things. You don't have to do those things to manifest in what you want. I've seen other coaches talk about how, like, you don't have to be regulated and blah, 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 blah to have and maintain what you want and what you've manifested in. But I do wonder if they're speaking from a place where they are regulated now, and so it's easier for them to allow them to have things, and they self-sabotage less because they are regulated, or whether that is true from the get-go, that you can rewire your nervous system just by being. I think there's an aspect of both being true. The more you choose yourself and not betray your own boundaries, the more that can have a regulating effect on your nervous system as well, right? So my point in saying that is, it's not that you have to do like breath work or tapping or whatever to regulate your nervous system. To me, that's just a more efficient way of getting there. So that is something that I'll put my hand up and say, like, I can't 100% say that you can like completely not do anything that regulates your nervous system, which isn't just necessarily nervous system regulating activities, and have what you want and maintain it with a dysregulated nervous system. But I also see these things, such as my cheat codes, as like, again, if you were God, why would you not want to feel better in this now moment, which you can utilize these cheat codes to do and experience now, as opposed to putting all the pressure on that thing, personal situation you're manifesting to be what makes you feel good or better or happy. So yeah, again, going back to my point about Kim specifically, the way she's talking about it feels like she was always doing the rewiring because she felt like she had to do the thing to get the thing.
I will be talking about Jesus because he is unmistakable and undeniable. And with everything I'm going through, and I still feel him every day, and I talk to him every day, and I'm just building my relationship with him in the only way that I know how right now. And so many women have been reaching out to me with me talking about this. I'm getting bolder and speaking about it because I hear that that's what he wants me to do. And I did it scared. The first time I made a video about him just a couple days ago, I wanted to throw up in my stomach, and not because it's something bad about him. And it's not that. It's because I was giving up control, and all the fears were coming up. Like, I'm going to be judged. People are going to think I'm crazy. What if these women don't want anything to do with me now because now I'm talking about Jesus and God? And as scared as I was, I said, I don't care. I want to obey you because I feel compelled to listen to him and to honor him and to glorify him and to help his daughters heal whatever way he tells me to do, not what I think needs to happen for them. So I don't need to be my own source anymore. I am not my source. Jesus is my source. God is my source. And I am growing, evolving through the identity of how they saw me, how he has seen you. He already gave you an identity, all of his daughters in the world. He has already given an identity to, that we are chosen. You are good enough. You are worthy, and you are so loved. And we just don't know it because the world has hardened you. You've been through some really tough shit. You have been let down. You have been betrayed. You have been hurt. You've been neglected. You've been abandoned. And the world gave you an identity that said, this is who you are. You can only trust you.
When Kim says the world has hardened you, I can totally understand how someone who's been through lots of hardships could see it that way, but I just want to offer another way of thinking about it. You hardened yourself because you felt like you needed to protect yourself from the world around you. And that probably did get you through some tough shit at some point, and it just doesn't serve you in a lot of ways now. But I just wanted to offer that perspective. Because it's very kind of, I don't see it as particularly helpful to see it from the perspective of the world hardened you, because there are people who have been through tough things who did not let that harden them. They may have had the tools to do that, and some of you watching this may not have. That's not to say that they didn't, like I keep always think about there's this gentleman, I don't remember his name. I don't think he's with us any longer, but I think he grew very old. Like I think he lived to maybe in his early 100s, potentially, or just before. Very, very long life. And he'd gone through the Holocaust. And he wrote a book, I think, called The Happiest Man in the World or something like that, if you want to Google it and see who I'm talking about. Now, that's not to discount the horrible things that this other people who had gone through the same thing, like how that would have felt for them if they weren't able to see things on the brighter side. Like I can completely see how it would be difficult to change your perspective on something like that. And I would guess as well that he didn't let that experience define who he is. And that probably was a huge helper, which is why I talk about, like, who are you being now? Okay.
You can only rely on you. And it's a lie, baby girl. It's a lie. And I just want you to know that. You do with it what you want. But I met Jesus. Thank you that I met Jesus. And now I know the truth. And I can only speak the truth. I love you. I hope you stick around. I hope you continue feeding your mind with words of God and Jesus.
Okay, she's just wrapping up the video now. I've just realized, if you notice me like look at the screen and like in a weird way, and it's because I realized I wasn't recording my screen while I was watching that. So editing this is going to be really fun. Hopefully I can sync it up to my points really well, but this may be a little bit later than I was expecting to put it out for this week. But yeah, so just to kind of again wrap it up from my perspective, from seeing Kim from early on and then seeing this from her now. Like I said, I can relate a lot to the like emotions she's going through and even parts of her journey, and we've just found ourselves at the releasing control and allowing phase in different ways. But that's what I see. And like I said, her emotions kind of coming up through that without her being able to I don't want to say control them because I actually want people to not control their emotions as much. I want you to release them so you're not pushing them down for them to come up like a fucking whack-a-mole when you least expect or want them to. But just, I can relate to that when I went through the burnout, like my emotions would just come up and I wouldn't even necessarily be talking about something that was a particularly emotional thing. That's that dysregulation. That's your nervous system being, like crashing, being completely out of whack. So, yeah, I'm not going to react to the other videos that I mentioned. I might do like make this a little series where I react to those ones if you would like me to. So let me know by liking and commenting on the second channel she's created for her podcast that's more in line with her new belief systems. Because I did take a quick look at that. I can't really remember exactly what she said in that, but where I was like, oh, this would be worth me also reacting to as far as being valuable content for my subscribers and anyone who watches the videos as far as their manifestation journeys and everything. But yeah, again, I just want to say it took a lot of gumption for Kim to do that, knowing that it may mean that she'll lose a lot of subscribers and things like that. Ultimately, her content is going to be more authentic to her if she follows what that nudge has been for her in terms of sharing things that help people release that control and allow more, because there will be people that resonate more with the doing that from a Christian perspective than from the perspective that I share on here, and how other people share that. So that's where I'm going to leave that one. Again, let me know if you'd like another video or two on Kim specifically. If there's anyone else that you feel like and I don't just mean coaches, remember, I don't want to turn this into a coaching coaches channel, but I'm happy to do some videos on coaches. So if there's any coaches that you would like for me to coach, but also if there's any people on social media, even if they're not big creators on there, where they're sharing part of their story that you may see parallels in that you would like, and you would like for me to coach them so that you can be indirectly coached by that advice that I give on that video, let me know in the comments of the video, or you can also contact me via the contact page on my website or the DMs on social media. But those ones often get filtered into a folder that I don't see until I remember to like, oh, I'll check the hidden folder and see. So probably the contact page or in the comments if you feel comfortable enough to comment, where, because some people obviously don't want their handle to be on a video or whatever. But yeah, let me know who else you'd like for me to react to, because I do feel like it can help people get that, like I said, indirect coaching from, even if it's not parallels, but how you can apply it to your own situation as well. Also, as far as other ways I can guide you, there's a link below that will lead you to the membership, to one-to-one coaching, and a bunch of other resources. All the workshops are available now in the Level Up Library. There's 3 tiers to the membership, and the lowest one is the Level Up Library, which is just a subscription to that content. Then there's the Select Society, which has access to the Level Up Library as well as the Q&A videos from the next tier up, and the private group. And then the Cheat Code Academy has all of those things, plus being able to submit questions for direct one-to-one coaching in the Q&A videos. You are able to choose to remain anonymous for those, by the way, and a bunch of other bonuses. So I won't go too much into that. If you're ready, you are welcome to look at what those membership tiers entail and whether or not you're ready to join us.